Hello, my YouTube family. This is the OG Crypto News coming at you with some juicy news. But before I begin, let me say I'm not a financial advisor. Anything you see or hear in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Remember to do your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making investment decisions. Okay, we're going to take a look at the total crypto market cap. It is coming in at 1.22 trillion. It is down 0.7%. Coming in at number one is Bitcoin at 30,272. Coming in at number two is Ethereum at 1,881. And our beloved XRP is coming in at number six at 46 cents. Taking a look at crypto bubbles, it looks like it's mostly red, with eCash coming in as the top gainer, being up 17.3%. And Wu looks like it's the biggest loser, down 8.4%. The crypto fear and greed index is in greed at 56. And starting here with shout out to Jack the Rippler. Boom, he puts out Fednow testing complete. Exciting times ahead for Ripple and XRP. It says Volanti Technologies, a Ripple partner, successfully wraps up a pilot test on the Federal Reserve's instant payment system. The future looks promising. Yes, a lot of things are working out. Shout out to Chad Steingraber. He puts out 8 steps to the future. Beta transactions are here, end to end. Once it's on, it will never shut down, 24/7, and will never stop. And here's a nice flow chart. Number one, the consumer pay by bank to make purchases. Then the merchant payment service provider sends request for payment to the merchant. The merchant FI converts RFP to ISO message sends to Fednow service. Fednow service validates the payment message. Consumer's FI confirms the intent to receive. 7, the consumer receives confirm the payment was received. And then consumer FI sends message to consumer confirming the payment went through, reflected to the bank balance. And that's basically instantaneous. Okay, moving on. Shout out to ISO 222. It puts out Alison Bowler, head of industry readiness for Fednow, formerly spent 20 years at IBM in the area of blockchain and payments for clearing and settlement. And this is a real quick take a look at her biography. Alison Bowler is the vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, where she is head of industry readiness for the Fednow initiative. In this role, Alison is responsible for facilitating industry readiness for adoption and evolution of the Fednow service. And just looking down here, prior to joining the bank, Allison spent 20 years at the IBM Corporation, where most recently served as a global market development executive in the area of blockchain and payments. During this time, she led a global team to launch a blockchain payments platform for real-time clearing and settlement. That has Ripple, XRP written all over it. Okay, shout out to the Cameron Winklevoss and Tyler Winklevoss. Well, a lot of people commented on the CEO, Larry Fink, on Fox Business. Let me play the video.
And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold in many ways. Instead of investing in gold as a hedge against inflation, a hedge against the onerous problems of any one country or the devaluation of your currency, whatever country you're in. Let's be clear, Bitcoin is an international asset. It's not based on any one currency. And so it can represent an asset that people can play as an alternative. I would call the foundation of Blackrock is about hope. You invest for retirement because you believe tomorrow is better than today.
Well, he definitely has come a long way, changed his tune. I mean, I think it was in 2017, he said that Bitcoin is basically for fraud and for committing crimes, fraud, and something else. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was nothing good. And now he went from that to wanting to put in for a spot Bitcoin ETF. I think money laundering was the word they used. Yes, that's what it was. He said it was for fraud and for money laundering, and now he's all in, which I don't mind because we need big institutions to come in. But Tyler Winklevoss put out, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they join you. And then his brother Cameron on top then said, then they file for a Bitcoin ETF. And there's more commentary on the bottom. You have Mickey B. Fresh, who said Tim Draper nailed it perfectly back 3 to 4 years ago in this discussion with Gary Gensler. Is exactly what has taken place recently with incumbent banks and old guard teaming up with corrupt regulatory agencies, SEC, to file frivolous enforcement lawsuits, and a few rogue senators as well. And Johnny Dean goes on to say, what's disturbing is that Gary Gensler says at the end, I think we're at that stage already in 2018. His buddies weren't done suing and driving prices down. Okay, we got more feedback from the Meta Lawman. As far as I can tell, this is not a deep fake. This is the real Larry Fink, godfather of ESG, trustee of the World Economic Forum, major progressive political benefactor, sounding just like Michael Saylor. Somewhere the anti-crypto army is wondering what just happened. Exactly. There's a lot of people talking about this 180-degree change. Okay, moving on. Shout out to the digital asset investor. He writes a lot of awkwardness on that stage. Nobody wants to bring up Hinman. ETHgate is real. They know it. Gary knows it. Ruben knows it. Hinman knows it. Let me play the video.
But if ETH is a security, then the futures contracts that are trading right now on the CME by institutional investors are illegal and they're violating the law. So either the SEC is not being forthright about what the law is, or
Well, I'll take it at that. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Cypress Domenico. He put out this video. Absolutely not stopping at all. And this is a financial fintech in going on in Frankfurt, I believe. Let me play it.
Absolutely. So the key point is also you're making the FTX disaster and the other disasters we've seen have not led you and your colleagues to close down crypto projects and so on. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Rethinking it and just focusing on the real necessary points, but not stopping it, not at all.
There you go. You heard him. He's not stopping, not at all, no matter about FTX, any of that, because they know this is going to change how the world sends money back and forth. That is in Frankfurt Digital Finance 2023. Once again, shout out to Cypress Domenico for that. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Kashta. Ripple in the room again. And this is in the UK. Happy to host an event with Ripple for colleagues from both the public and the private sector on blockchain and sustainability in the EU. Correction, EU. Okay, moving on. Shout out to the block for this. Regulatory ambiguity hurts Americans, says SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. Here's the article. Just going to scroll down over here. Regulatory ambiguity in crypto is harmful for the American public, SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce said in a recent interview with Coinage Media's Zach Guzman. In the interview, she weighed in on the flurry of spot Bitcoin ETF applications, noting that the agency's standards for such a product have been a moving target. In other words, she's politically correctly saying that the SEC is a bad faith regulator. She can't just say that directly, so that's her way of saying it, but they are a bad faith regulator. And moving on, shout out to Ashley Prosper. And here is a illustration of how they are a bad faith regulator. She put out a tweet earlier, May 30th, where she writes, unsurprisingly, the SEC FOIA office has once again delayed production of the SEC JP Morgan emails about Ripple and or XRP. So they delayed in giving the response. Here she writes, the SEC has responded to my FOIA. Unfortunately, they have decided to withhold 201 out of 217 documents they say are responsive to my FOIA. And unsurprisingly, the documents they did release are benign in nature. Just some financial information that doesn't appear to be related to my FOIA at all. The fight will continue. So, in other words, they're acting in bad faith, because if they are doing everything on the up and up, and there's nothing wrong with what they're doing within the SEC, then why would they hold back 201 out of the 217 pages? So that tells you all you need to know. They are a bad faith regulator because they would have given up all the documents. Okay, moving on. Shout out to CoinGecko. They put out Bitcoin miners made 184 million in fees during Q2 of 2023, an increase of 270% from the year 2022. Okay, moving on. Shout out to XRP Drops. Here is a BIS spokesperson. Let me play the video.
But this question of interoperability and the fact that we have something which is coordinated as a framework at the international level. Because if you have a virtual asset service provider subject to rules on one side, sending the money to another country where the rules are different or where the rules don't exist, that's where you have the challenge. Because they are obliged to apply rules, and they can oblige just one leg of the rule, not the other one, that, meaning that they don't have access to the information related to the beneficiary, for example. Because the first thing that we have to do is to convince these new actors that, yes, there is an added value to be supervised and to implement certain rules. Why? There are an added value because it will help them also to develop sustainable activity. And it's good for the integrity of their business. So
Exactly. So basically what she's saying, we need to have global adoption, and we need to have the same rules globally. We can't have one country having one set of rules saying XYZ is a digital currency, and another country claiming that that same digital asset is a security, for example, XRP. So I do believe eventually we're going to get it right, and all the countries globally are going to have the same rules, because they have to, because this digital currency is global. It's not just for the US, or the UK or Singapore or Dubai or whatever. It is globally, and all the countries around the world have to adopt the same regulation for this thing to work. And I agree with that 100%. Okay, moving on. This is shout out to ALX who put this video out of Jim Cramer. He writes, Instagram is really terrific product and Twitter is awful. Let me play the video.
I don't think they thought of Twitter, and then I am being facetious, but I say game, set, match Zuckerberg, because he's really learned his lesson. He really understands that it does matter, that you want to be committed to the community, and Facebook Instagram is a really terrific product, and Twitter is awful. And my kids were saying, like, why are you posting on Twitter? I said, well, it's free. I said, well, that's just great. The worst things in life are free.
Does that mean you're going to migrate? Are you going to move your content 100%. Delivery to Threads?
I'll put some Twitter in just because I'm a masochist who doesn't mind being hated, but that's been the way of most of my life since fourth grade.
Okay, so you heard it there. So basically, Elon Musk, great news. Jim Cramer just confirmed that your purchase of Twitter was spot on, and I guess RIP to Instagram. Moving on here, and shout out to Watcher Guru. Justin, Twitter receives first 3 money transmitter licenses for payment services in the US. So, like I said, Elon, you're going to be doing very well, even more than what you already are. Jim Cramer confirmed that. And here's the article. Twitter granted 3 money transmitter licenses for US payment services. And let me just scroll down here where it's highlighted. It says the first license is in Michigan, followed by New Hampshire, and a sale of checks and money transmitter license in Missouri. So slowly but surely, Elon Musk is making his dream come true. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Matthew, L-I-N-Y, where he has a document from the MIF. July 2023, I believe it was July 5th, if I'm not mistaken, where they put it out, where they mentioned XRP. And this is the document on page 6. If you guys want to look up the PDF, it's on page 6. And let me just read the highlighted part. It says, as of November 2022, Bitcoin 40% and Ethereum 19.5% are the top 2 cryptocurrencies in terms of market capitalization, followed by Tether, 7.4%. XRP is a cryptocurrency associated with a payment settlement system for financial institutions. Okay, moving on. And shout out to the digital asset investor. He has this video where he writes, he knows what's coming. Let me play the video.
You know, we've started to see the active addresses rising. We're starting to see activity rising, as we should be at this stage in the cycle, the crypto spring. We're starting to see people come out of hibernation, start exercising those muscles again, but we're not operating across everywhere. So we're seeing, you know, NFTs dead as a doornail, but we're starting to see more activity in Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's great because it has huge value transacted. ETH has a lot more transactions, but are lower in economic value, just the nature of the chains. So this is really, and XRP, really interesting, is because it has very low value transactions, but a lot of them. They all work out, all of these work out roughly. It's fascinating.
Raul, Paul gets it. I get it. Hopefully you guys all get it too. But okay, fam, that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this video to be helpful, would you please smash a like and subscribe? I would really appreciate it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Thank you much in advance. And in the words of Snoop Dogg, keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind. Peace out, fam.